Hey, I'm Jeff Caldwell.
And I'm Jack Caldwell.
And we're here to tell you about our experience doing float therapy together. In Bellingham, Washington, we went to Still Life Massage and Float, and just prior to COVID, went about 6 to 8 weeks in a row and really had a good time bonding as a father and son. And Jack has a special brain, some ADHD, a little bit of autism, and a lot of coolness. And what else, Jack? Too many words to think about. So watch the following video and follow along, and at the end we're going to have some tips for you, so stay tuned. I'm Jeff Caldwell, my son. What's your name?
Jack
Jack what?
Caldwell.
Jack Caldwell, okay. So we're at Still Life Massage and Float with Tim and Shannon Fuller, who have been operating this from a thought 6 years ago, fast forwarding to success and expanding now, right?
Yeah, we're hoping. Yeah, we are running 2 tanks, as you know, back 6 years ago, and we're hoping to do 2 more. We're running pretty much 100% capacity right now.
That's great.
Yeah.
And post kind of COVID, that's not probably too many people can say
Well,
that. But
I kind of think COVID helped. I mean, I think that it's been a place for people to go and just cope and deal and escape. You know, everything that's happening. You know, last year, granted, where you were, like with COVID, politics, climate change, the fires. I mean, there was so much stuff affecting people. This was just that quiet place to be and just be okay, I guess.
Yep. Well said. That's good that there was a silver lining to this. So about I guess it was a couple months before COVID, maybe in December or January, I reached out and going back a little bit in 2017, when I went to the Float conference in Portland and heard Dr. Feinstein talk about when we had my company Heat and Green had a booth there. I took time to listen to him and really talk about the more from a clinical side of the results of floating, even compared to other things like yoga or other forms of exercising, people with PTSD, etc., and being able to look at that and more of here are facts. It's not some newfangled thing that people are just throwing ideas over the fence.
Not just a bunch of snake oil.
Not just a bunch of snake oil. Yes, exactly. And so, and even though we've done a bunch of projects heating wise, it was really great insight. So my son has a really good mind, and hopefully the nut didn't fall too far from the tree. And so when we started talking about floating, kind of the why behind it was Jack has kind of some sensory stuff going on, along with some ADHD and probably some mild autism, right, Jack? Yeah. So remember when you and Daddy were talking about floating? Mm-hmm. Yeah. What were your thoughts on that?
Well, I think when I did floating, I was like, what was this gonna be? And when my dad went to the float conference, I was like, what's floating? And I didn't really understand what it was, but then when I went to the float and I did it, well, I don't have very good sleep. Usually it's in the winter, and it helps me sleep, and then I sleep really good, and then it helps me get anxiety away too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Jack was, as he said, very curious, like looking at all the pumps and everything. He's very mechanically inclined, and like most kids are, curious about things. So just as an encouragement to other parents out there, if they do this with their kids, have no expectations whatsoever, but look at it as
greatest piece of advice.
Yeah, and look at it as an opportunity. And in our instant gratification world, it's very easy to want instant results, right? Or take a pill, and we know that there's things can work, but sometimes when you try things out, I think as a dad, one of the biggest things is just honestly involvement. Whether it was, he has just a normal kid and does sports or whatever the activity might be, that you're involved. And so I looked at it as a real blessing to literally be shoulder to shoulder in the tank with Jack, and to be to there and not just have my wife do the things like this, for example. And so it's as a dad, I'll just say we've probably all read statistics about dads not being involved as much, and the fatherless generation or things like that. And not to be presumptuous with anyone watching, but it's so important to take every moment and to love them well, and maybe you don't understand floating, or like, oh, this is really just for adults, or something flippant, but more like, hey, I can't pound the sand through the hourglass and see the results, but I know it takes a community, and I appreciate your graciousness of saying, like, let's try and see if it works. And so I think we'll probably be starting up again here, and and I'll just say the nights that Jack did it, I journaled things, and it was never a leaning statement like, you're going to sleep great tonight, Jack. It was more just, let's just see the results and enjoy. Jack always says, enjoy the trip, not the destination.
So well
and I can get very anxious as a business owner and a doer and a performer, whether we're going boating or something, but more like, hey, if we get a flat tire on the way, or if something happens. So it was great to just enjoy the time before, not rushing to get here, but getting here on time, and then going home. And even though he's going to go to bed a little bit later those nights, that just see the results. And so we can't fast forward time, but I really appreciate both of you being gracious and willing. And the hope here is if this puts a sprinkle of hope or opportunity for other people to say, man, I could do that with my son or daughter, and just be willing to be available and flexible. And but I like logic, so when I heard Dr. Feinstein speak, and it was like, this makes sense, and then here was a window of opportunity with Still Life Massage Club.
Nice. Yeah. Well, cool. And I'm so excited. I mean, the bonding part is what's melting me so much.
Yeah.
I mean, having 6 weeks to come and just, that is great for a father and son. And hold on to that, because we have teenagers now, and it drifts. Yeah.
It's not a cliche.
Yeah, exactly. And just so excited that it was helpful, and getting back to what you learned at the conference, like putting the proof behind the pudding. You hear it, you read it, oh, that's interesting. Right. Then you try it, and just slow steps. It's always a process, right? It's like, you can't get well overnight, but 6 months down the road of doing something, then you look back and go, oh, I am in a better place now because of this. And I'm so glad that, we think floating is a great tool to have in your toolbox. Like we said, it's not the cure-all. You're not going to get immediate results all the time, although we have lots of folks that come out and go, wow. Yeah. I have floats that are mind-blowing sometimes. Yeah. You do have those moments, and I've been doing it a while.
Yeah, and I think that being said, while the focus was kind of on Jack, it's more what am I now, as I was looking in the rear view, what am I getting out of this?
That's exactly
and like you said, the bonding part. So, Jack, what would you want to say to other kids out there, or parents, about floating, and kind of words of encouragement? What would you like to say?
Well, I think that floating, if you have a hard time sleeping, that you can do it and you might sleep really well, and that if you have any anxieties, whether it's something in school or something at home or something with your friends, that it might blow those anxieties away, and so you're really calm after you get out of the float tank. I think it really helps.
What would you like to say to Tim and Shannon?
Thanks for letting us do the float, and I think it really helps.
You are welcome. It's exactly why we're here, so I'm glad that we were able to help. And I can't wait to see you back in. Okay.
Think it's going to fit us now? We've grown a little bit.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe 6 inches or more, huh?
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
We appreciate it. So.
Thank you for watching our video.
And in conclusion, I want to give you the top 3 reasons why you should consider doing float therapy or even a float session with your child. Number 1, you're creating bonds and memories with your child. You're showing support for them. And number 3, and the most important, is love wins. And that's gonna go a long way in life. And we just know from our own experience that it's been really mutually beneficial, and we really want to encourage you to consider doing the same. I'd like to give special thanks to Dr. Justin Feinstein. I'd heard him speak at the Float Conference in 2017, and it was very interesting, his findings, and I appreciate you dedicating your professional career towards this to really help people. I also like to thank Jocelyn Jester with the Float Conference and all the emails and the phone calls back and forth, and James Harder from Float Harder in Portland, Maine. Thanks for your encouragement and your support of the float industry. And a special thanks to Tim and Shannon Fuller with Still Life Massage and Float here in Bellingham. We couldn't have done it without you. And remember, float on!